I want to thank Representative Fitzpatrick and Golden and the rest of my colleagues here to reflect that bipartisan support, because it's what is needed if we are going to do the right thing. And the right thing is providing support for Ukraine, for Israel, for humanitarian assistance for Gaza, for 120,000 Armenians that have been removed from their historic home in Nagorno-Karabakh, and to ensure that Taiwan has the support we believe it needs. As Representative Davis noted, we were in Kiev on the 24th, the second anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That Saturday morning at about 5 o'clock, I overheard drones coming in which the Ukrainians were knocking them down, pop, 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 focusing on secured assets, petroleum reserves and others was the target of Russia. But it reminded me of what our support has done, that Patriot system that protects the city, knocking down 19 of the 20 drones that came in that morning. The Yalta Economic Security Council met. It's the third meeting that I've been a participant in since in the last 18 months to reaffirm the strong support by Europe and the United States. We attended a parliamentary meeting with the Ukraine Parliament, and they thanked and supported our previous efforts. The European Union just last month provided over $52 billion in additional assistance to Ukraine. And as warm as a welcome as Representative Davis and I received, we constantly were asked the question, is America going to continue its support of Ukraine? And on the panel that I participated in, I said, I believe we are because we must. When the invasion began 2 years ago, it was described as good versus evil. It is still about good versus evil. The reality is that Russia today is a syndicate masquerading as a country with a mob boss called Putin. That's the reality. And if you have any doubt, mob bosses, when they have opposition, they usually knock their opposition off. We saw that 2 weeks ago with the murder of the Russian patriot, Alexei Navalny, who was murdered in the Siberian prison. That's what mob bosses do. And today, NATO is united like no time since the Cold War. I mean, who would have thunk 2 years ago Finland and Sweden would be a part of NATO? Who would have thought 2 years ago that European Union would provide as much financial support and assistance as we have? Who would have thought 2 years ago that now over 16 of the NATO countries are putting over 2% of their GDP in their own military defense? The world has changed. This is a seminal moment in American and world history that we're living in, and the Ukrainians are fighting for their democracy, they're fighting for their country, and in a larger sense, the Ukrainians are fighting for democracies around the world, including our own. Ukraine has regained half of the land Russia took at the beginning of the war. It's reopened the Black Sea. It's exporting more goods last month than at any point since the invasion began. Russia has lost over 315,000 troops. They're trying to get people out of prisons. Our American friends that were there advising, and by the way, they're on their own as volunteers advising the Ukrainian military, said that they take these guys out of prison and they're cannon fodder. That's what Russia is. It's run by a war criminal. Putin has bombed hospitals, schools, innocent civilians to try to break the will of the Ukrainian people. But I can tell you, as Representative David said, their will is strong. In every visit I've had over the last 18 months, the resiliency, notwithstanding the losses they have sustained, which is over 30,000 troops, according to the Zelensky administration, Russia has lost over 315,000 and two-thirds of their tanks. So now is the time. Frankly, last fall was the time. But we still have the opportunity to make a difference, and the world is watching. Our European allies are watching. Our adversaries, Russia and China, are watching. So it's important that in this bipartisan package that we also deliver humanitarian aid, not just for Ukraine, but humanitarian aid for the Palestinians in Gaza. It's horrific what's happening there. Over 30,000 Gazans have lost their life, Palestinians in Gaza. And we obviously need to bring a truce together. Over 120,000 Armenians have lost their home. The humanitarian assistance is always something that America has stood up for. So I'm proud to be working with this bipartisan group to break the gridlock. I hope to look for an open amendment process where we can improve the bill. That's the way we're supposed to legislate. And I think that with the bipartisan support here, we can bring a piece of legislation together that reflects the I think, overwhelming bipartisan support that exists within the House of Representatives, legislation that then can pass the Senate, that the President will sign. That is what this group is all about.